I'm gonna
back in a sec.
You're talking, but I can't find earlier. It was showing me her fight, but now it's not. Now I'm confused. How do I get Google to show me flights?
Here we go. We got people in. What's up, Cobra Kyle?
Don't worry. It's only Pepsi Max.
Oh, I need to pop out the chat. That's what I need to do.
It is only 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right, we're getting some people in.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
All right, I think we're good.
Sweet.
All right, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of Off Camber Live. For anyone that hasn't tuned in before, Off Camber Live show has been put together by a bunch of people that have YouTube channels, and they're all focused on mountain biking. Each week we rotate around, host it on a different channel, and speakers change every week, and the topic is always about mountain biking. So I'm Eric. You've obviously found my channel, and today's topic is about work-life balance in the world of YouTube. On the show, I'm excited about this one because we have three new guests. We have Sid and Mackie, we have John, aka Mountain Bike Geek, and Andrew, McTrail Rider from Scotland. So before we get into it, I'm gonna I'll let everyone introduce themselves during the first question. But first, because this is a podcast that gets put on iTunes afterwards, for a lot of the show, we're not going to be able to pay attention to the chat, or we won't be able to address it because people that are listening to it on iTunes will have no idea what's going on. But if you have any questions, make sure to ask them. Joseph, Trail Features, is in the chat, and he's going to compile them. And Joseph, if you just want to add them to the Google Doc, that'll be awesome. And then we'll work our way through them in the end. So like I said, this episode is about work-life balance, which is pretty self-explanatory. I think a lot of people that are in tech know this pretty well. It's a pretty hot topic in interviews and stuff. But it basically means being able to balance what you do as a career with whatever else is going on in your life, whether it be things at home, your family, your hobbies, whatever. So for some of us, YouTube is just another thing that we do. We have a full-time job, and then we film and edit and have families and all that. And for others of us, YouTube is a career path. It's a full-time thing. So let's go around and give a little background on our channels and our work-life balance that we all maintain. John, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. First things first, I'm out there very much like Eric to prove that people with some kind of medical issue or disability or anything, we can still do this. I'm blind in my left eye. I'm type 1 diabetic as well. And as you can hear, I'm Australian. I don't know if that's an affliction or not, but I do it anyway. But yeah, essentially, I just go out, I ride trails, I ride bikes, I test different parts. I just have fun. That's the whole point of mine. It's just having fun. I don't know if anyone else does that as well, but that's entirely what it is about.
Quite right.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So I'm Andrew. I'm a trail rider. I'm from Scotland, so you might need subtitles for me. And yeah, I'm fully able-bodied, but I just do it for fun. yeah, it's just a good reason to get out and ride with your mates, and it's a good way of meeting new people. And yeah, I don't take things too seriously, but yeah, it's just a nice release. That's why I bike.
Cool. Sid and Mackie?
Set us up to be the ones who take this too seriously.
Yeah. We both race mountain bikes professionally. That is our main full-time gig. And we're doing YouTube because we think it's awesome. We started doing it fairly recently and are just trying to figure it all out and spend a lot of time doing it, but it's not nearly at the point of being a career.
Definitely not. Not a very profitable one.
Not a profitable one, at least, yeah.
So yeah, I'm Eric. I run No Front Brakes, and I think I'm the only one on that, like, I know, Jonathan, you have a full-time as well. But yeah. I have a full-time job. I'm a homeowner. I have a wife and kid, and I also spend a lot of time filming and editing. So yeah, my schedule, I don't have a whole lot of free time, but my wife is pretty gracious and allows me to dump a lot of time and money into this sport and into YouTube.
Not to mention, she's also the one that brings the comedic element to your channel as well. Like the other day where she told you not to cut your hand off.
Yeah, she does that. I try to spice up my stuff with a little comedy, but she's absolutely way funnier than I am, for sure.
That's the way it works, isn't it?
So I read a study recently where they surveyed like 10,000 people, and just under half of them said that they worked more than 40 hours a week, which is pretty crazy. So I'm curious about this. How much would you say you work per week between your full-time, if you have one, and running your channel and doing whatever it is you do professionally? So for me, like, I spend about 40 hours or so at work, and I usually spend about 20 to 30, I would guess, filming. I have a pretty good backlog right now, but I typically spend like 8 hours of editing for like a 10-minute video, which is pretty crazy. And I spend a lot of other time like researching about the YouTube game and reading and listening to 2 books about time management. If you had to give a number, what would you guys say?
I'm beginning to wonder if the math works out, if it's actually possible that you do all those things. And I'm just figuring that you don't ever sleep. That's what I'm guessing.
I don't sleep a whole lot. It's like 6 hours usually a night.
We get to count sleep as work, so do the math on that one.
Yeah, this is the question that we've been, when we saw this one as one of the questions, we were like, how do we answer this? And I think the best way to put it is, what balance? I'm not sure that.
Yeah, we don't have very good balance, but someone recently asked us, they were like, are you guys just like on vacation all the time or working all the time? And we were like, that is a really good question. And it depends entirely like on how you look at it. Cause like we don't have weekends or like off hours at all, but like also we get to ride bikes for a living. So you can't really complain about that. And like, if we're tired enough, we get to be like, okay, we have to like spend all day on the couch today. This is a recovery day. Like that's work, you know? So it's really muddy, I think.
Muddy's a good way to put it.
But isn't the
recovery day
both? Like if you can make your full-time job also a vacation, that's like the ideal goal.
I think it looks more like a vacation from the outside, but
yeah.
that's another debate.
What about you, Andrew?
Well, as of about 2 weeks ago, I worked as a joiner, and I was a minimum of 40 hours a week, and it's quite hard work physically. not mentally at all, but quite hard work physically. So I'd be a minimum of 40 hours a week, and then at the weekends, it depends where I was going, but yeah, all the waking hours I'd be out riding my bike and or making videos, or editing, sorry. So yeah, it was basically 5 days working solid, 2 days having fun, and then not looking forward to the 5 days that returned. It's just pretty standard, really.
Right? That changed recently for you?
Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago, on good terms, I left my work, and I'm now trying to do a couple of business ideas. I use that term loosely. I've got a house, quite a nice house in a kind of scenic area. I'm going to try and get it finished and get that on Airbnb or something similar, and hope that that can be a small income. I have another business thing as well, but I'm not even going to start delving into that on a live chat. But hopefully those two things kind of come through, and I'm actually in my motorhome just now, so I've got a motorhome, and the plan is to travel around Europe and try and make videos as a full-time thing, in the hope that it doesn't have to be financially, it doesn't have to work out financially, but it would be nice if YouTube worked out. I'm just hoping that a couple other things in the back burner will be enough just to keep me going, and then I can completely change my work-life balance. So that's why I kind of came on this chat, because I'm right at the turning point where everything is going to change, where hopefully my living is going to outweigh my working.
That's awesome. I'm excited to follow your journey and watch your travels. John,
So,
you?
Me, I work 40 hours a week. Thankfully, I now work from home. I used to work in IT before this, hence the mountain bike geek part. But now I work for Mountain Bikes Direct. It's an online store here in Australia. I do a lot of writing and customer chats and that kind of thing from home. I go riding as much as I possibly can. Hopefully that's like nearly every afternoon, twice on the weekends. I get to spend time with my kids as well. Then there's video editing, and there's importing all of the videos and voiceovers. And yeah, so it probably worked out to close to 80 hours a week in total.
It's a lot. I'm in the same boat.
It is a lot.
So obviously, like, pacing is a big part of work-life balance on YouTube. And I know that people are all over the boards as far as like keeping a video cadence. Like myself, I do like 2 a week. I do every Tuesday and Friday. But some people seem to work on a different schedule. Like I'll use Joseph Trail Features as an example. Obviously, the quality of his videos is like way superior to mine as far as editing and filming. But he puts out one, I'd say, like once every other week, or it fluctuates. So he doesn't keep a normal cadence, but it works out for him just because the quality is so high. So do you guys, so I've did the Tuesday, Friday since like November, every Tuesday, Friday afternoon since like November. And it can get crazy. And like I said earlier, it's not usually because of lack of footage or lack of being able to ride, but it's because I don't have time to like edit or polish. I sometimes focus on like the idea of keeping my cadence, and I forget that it's a hobby, even though it's, you know, like a really expensive and time consuming one. But do you guys keep a schedule? Do you try to hit certain days or certain times, or is it just I'm going to get it out there as soon as I'm done editing this one?
I wish I could say I'm going to get it out there as soon as I'm done editing. Unfortunately, with the upload speeds I've got here, it's just not possible. My upload speed maxes out at 100 kilobytes a second.
Oh boy.
And when you're talking like in 7, 8 to 9 gig video at a time, then yeah, it's just not possible. So I aim for once a week.
that's fair enough.
I try to go for every Wednesday, but sometimes it's a bit late.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? You're about to increase your cadence probably with being able to travel a lot.
Well, you say that, but maybe not right now because of me having to work in the house. But I'm similar to you. I've been doing 2 a week. I think since about December, and I do it every Tuesday and Thursday. And to be honest, I've kind of found myself literally using the footage that I got from the weekend before and trying to make Saturday's footage come out on Tuesday and Sunday's come out on Thursday. So I think it's not a healthy way to do it. I think I'm kind of rushing them out and worrying quite a lot, and maybe not getting to do the production value that I would like to do. So I should really try and pace myself a bit better, or reduce down to 1 a week. But obviously, right now with me working in the house, as far as I'm concerned, that's more important than it was working for my boss. It's more important for me to get the house finished because that's going to bring in the money. So I might have to go down to 1 a week, and I'll try and put a little bit more effort into the editing because I'm not very tech savvy. You know, I'm not good with software like yourself, Eric. But I try and make up for that by trying to get to some quite cool places, but it doesn't always work out. So I think I'm going to drop my 2 a week just now, go to 1 a week, try and make the video a little bit better. And as soon as I can get out more, I'll try and get 2 or 3 a week. So
I found that like if you have footage that's like in the hopper and you're ready to start editing, it's always hard when you have like a backlog or a bunch of videos that you need to start editing, because the thing that you've done last is always like the freshest in mind and the most exciting. So that makes it tough because you're like, all right, well, I could go edit this thing that happened 3 weeks ago, but I just did this fun thing this weekend, so I really want to start that one first.
I am exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
I just I'm excited about the last thing I've done, and it might very well be better than the things that I've done for the last 2 weeks, and I just want people to see that. But you know, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
That's where I'm fortunate to have Sid. So I do the editing, but Sid is good about being like, it doesn't matter if, you know, we have technically footage for another video. Like, it's about the story. Tell the story. If this doesn't fit in there, like, we just skip it, and that doesn't matter. And like, she's totally right, but I tend to be very chronological. So I'm like, but there's one missing. And she's like, it doesn't, no one notices. No one cares. So we tried, I mean, we were basically random initially. And then we tried to do 3 a week for a little while and realized that that was way too much given
the strain on our relationship.
Yes. So we have cut back to 2 a week, and we're doing Monday, Friday. And, you know, there are moments that can be difficult, but
Matthew starts panicking every Thursday.
That's not quite true.
Oh, our growth is slowing down. Yeah. We need to do more than 2 videos, but then we do a video and it's fine.
Yeah. I think what's worked for us is that our Monday ones are all sort of vlog style. So they're more about the story, where we are, what we're doing. And then the Friday ones tend to be more standalone. So that means that, like, you know, we're fairly conscious about the vlog ones, the Monday ones, and we're like, okay, we're going to record stuff for, you know, this week, and we try to be a couple weeks out if we can. And then the Friday ones, we're like, okay, what would be interesting? What have people been asking about recently? Like the one we just
do something timeless, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest challenge that we've had with YouTube is that our lives are really complicated, so it's really hard. And Andrew, this is something you might find when you start traveling around a lot. Like, it's really hard to tell a cohesive story that isn't like, then we were here, and then we were over here, and then we did this, and then we did that. And like, nobody wants to see that. So it's really hard to like pull out like what's the important part, still be telling a story, but not getting like so lost in like logistics, which I would say like a huge part of our life is logistics. And that's the boring part that we try not to show on YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you know, we talked about like having a bunch of videos or things in the hopper, but is there like a certain workflow that you guys find that's most efficient? Like, I know some people like to just film and immediately start working on that video and then get it out and then go film another thing and then get it out. But then the other people like, and I'm in this bucket, is I have a bunch of things that I filmed and I need to figure out, you know, when to edit it, when to stop editing it and just say, hey, this is done, and then uploading and doing your screens and thumbs and all of that. Do you guys have any like sort of workflow like that? Are there any tools that you use to like kind of improve that? Because I feel like there's probably a lot of people out there that are trying to figure out the same thing, and if we can share knowledge, it'll be awesome.
I do have a backlog of a lot of videos, but these were all recorded before I even thought about doing storyboarding or anything like that. So if I get injured, then I'm going to use that kind of footage, like what happened recently. But since then, I'm trying to storyboard and get something under the belt where I can actually work with it properly. So if I do happen to get injured in future, then I still have a nice backlog of videos that I can just put out without going, oh no, I'm too injured, I can't put out a video this week.
So you're actually ahead.
At this point in time, yeah. I've got probably about 7 months worth of videos that I can go through and edit.
Whoa!
That's a
Can I
lot.
borrow some?
Yeah, you can borrow as many as you want. It's just going to take a couple of months to upload it.
That's impressive.
Mackie, do you use anything?
We have gotten better about not necessarily figuring out what the story is, because you don't really know what the story is if you're going out on a ride, but planning like, okay, this one's going to be about training here, and this one's going to be about riding with these people there, so that we sort of have an idea of what shots we need to get. And then when I sit down to edit, we've already discussed it. We have an idea of what that story is going to look like. So it's a little bit faster to put together, and we're not, you know, we don't just record whole rides. We record little bits and pieces so that it's easier to just pull the pieces we want instead of having, you know, 5 hours of footage from a 3-hour ride that you have to go through piece by piece.
Yeah, and we don't record most of the rides we go on. So we try to just be super focused. It's like if we're vlogging.
Record everything.
What's that?
Record everything.
Yeah.
That's how John has 7 months of footage backed up.
Good point.
Pretty much.
We've just learned that we have to separate like training from video stuff if we want to train effectively. And like there are a couple of times when we've done training rides and videoed at the same time, and that's okay if you're planning to do that. But if you're recording all the time, it becomes too much, and you do a shitty job of one of the two.
We just then, if we record everything, which we did kind of last year, like we just ended up with heaps and heaps of footage and like no story. So now I think we're way more story focused than we are footage focused, because otherwise it just gets out of hand.
I think, I have the problem where I'm like a footage hoarder. So like I have like an 8 GB hard drive with footage that I'm probably not ever going to use. Like it'll just be like a 15-second clip from like a 15-minute like long MP4, and so that kind of stinks. I know that I need to get better at telling an actual story. The one tool that I found like super useful when it comes to like planning my workflow and all that is I use you know, like I work in tech, so I'm used to like Scrum, Agile, if you guys know what that is, and I use an app called Trello, and it has like swim lanes. So like I'll have like all my ideas in a column, and then I have like a card basically. Think of it like Post-it notes, and then I move it across the columns from ideas to filming to editing to posts to uploading, doing all my cards. I even have a column for like when I create my thumbnail. So that seems to work for me. I'm really, especially now that I have like a couple weeks of footage stocked up, or like a couple weeks of videos that I can edit in a row. It helps me stay on point so that something doesn't slip through the cracks.
Seems like a smart way to do it.
Thanks. Yeah. What about you, Andrew?
My workflow is very, very basic. I try and just go out and ride my bike as just authentic as I can, as if the camera is not there. And then at the end of the day, I don't record too much of the talking or the climbing or anything like that. I don't have a storyboard and like that. The problem I've got is I record my audio separate, and I've got to put two cameras on and clap it in, so I can't really get quick clips. So I just kind of generally leave the camera running, and whatever happens, happens. It's more like CCTV. And by the time I've done my day's riding, I get home, and straight away I load the stuff in the footage into the computer, and I sync my audio up between the so that it all, sorry, I lost my words. I sync my audio with my footage on the computer and just do a very rough cut and get a general feel of how the video is going to look. And I might leave it there. If I've got enough time, I will probably just see the video right through to the end and just do final details the next day. If not, I'll just leave it and I'll have a rough idea of what the video is going to be like. I don't do too much on the finished product. I don't have any thumbnails. Again, not very tech savvy. So I don't have any, there's nothing too fancy about my videos, and they are very much edit as soon as I get home and at least get the footage offloaded, and then I can just get a feel for how the video is going to be.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed about your videos specifically is that this is new to me. I'm always like cutting out the parts where I'm not talking because I'm like trying to be funny or tell a story. But I think there's a whole like group of people that watch out there that like just watch to see the trail and maybe not to hear a story, or people that watch while they're sitting on a trainer. And so that's, I think those types of people are like directly in your demographic because you do that. You have a lot of just like straight up trail. Like I focus on features or something I said, but I feel like a lot of your videos, you're like, I'm going to do this ride and I'm going to ride this trail from A to B, and this is what's going to be in the video.
Yeah, again, it depends on the day. If it's a fairly short run, then I'm not very good. I'm usually using all my brain capacity to actually ride my bike, and I don't have anything spare to use words. I've had a few people actually say I should say more about the trail just to help them identify if something was as steep as it looked, or there was something that, because the camera never does the trail justice. So sometimes you need to be told or guided as to how it is for the rider. But then on the longer runs, if I've got a lot of footage, and then I can, sometimes I do just cut in where I do say something and then cut into something that would be 30, 40 seconds later where I'm speaking again. But if it's just going to be a short run and it's the one trail, I probably will just shoot it in full. Yeah, I'm not very good with my words.
Well,
so that's why.
I think like Sid and Mackie said earlier, like depending on the trail that you're riding, there's only so much that you can do to focus on your filming. Like if you're training or you're riding something that's like crazy, your mind has to be on the trail. Your mind has to be on your lines you're picking. It has to be on the feature and not, oh, how's my position on my gimbal? Because if you focus on that, you're going to crash. So I think
I've nearly crashed a few times trying to wipe the mud off the camera. Most of you guys won't know what mud is anyway.
I get so excited while riding that I actually forget to talk.
What's that, John?
I actually get so excited while riding, I forget to talk. Like, I'll be in my mind before I actually get out there. I'll be like, yeah, this will be good. I'll actually get in the camera and guide people through this, and I'll start writing and just forget all about it.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah, I can't help it. And one thing I did find, though, is if you're one of the people like myself or Andrew who does video without too much talking, spend time watching other people's videos on YouTube. You pick up so many different ideas. Like I watched one this morning from a fellow Scot, Ben Cathro, who did a video, and he actually stuck his Sony camera to the chin piece of his full face helmet. And I thought, that's a wicked idea. I'm going to try that because it, again, is telling a story.
Yeah. Can I just say, I came up with the idea first. I just haven't made a blooming video of it. So everybody's going to think that it's his idea.
Well, he actually says in his video, he got it from a follower who left a comment on one of his videos. So, no.
Oh, yeah,
no
that was me.
So it is springtime here, or about to be springtime here in the States, but I know that, you know, in the Northeast in the United States, or, you know, John, you're on an opposite seasonal schedule than we are, or Andrew, you just have rain all the time. So I'm curious, to those of you living in different climates, like how does the weather or seasons affect your schedules?
Well, I'll go first on this one. It is coming to the end of summer here at the moment. It gets extraordinarily hot. For those who use freedom measurements, like yourself, Eric, it gets to between 112 and 120 degrees most days. For everyone else in Celsius land, yeah, it gets between like 38 and 45 degrees in summer. And we rock it. I go to Texas, and guys out in Texas are like, no, it's too hot today. And I'm like, what? No, this is normal, man. Like, we haven't even hit peak temperature yet. Let's go. But yeah, no, it's actually, it can get challenging. You really have to learn how to manage your water, your electrolytes, taking in all your food and everything. You really have to learn how to manage all of that if you're going out for a daytime ride. Usually, for most people, it's extremely early morning, like 3, 4 in the morning, or late at night, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. That's when they'll do most of their riding around here in summer. Winter, very few places in Australia here snow, so we ride all year round. Doesn't matter. We just do it, unless it rains. You know, mud thing that Andrew was talking about.
Andrew, I'm really curious to hear your take, because it's notoriously damp and rainy there. So how do you find, or do you just ride when it's raining or when it's muddy? How do you find that?
Well, that's how I found out about the chin cam on the helmet, because you can't always use the gimbal in Scotland just because it is so wet. Yeah, it's just really wet all year. We don't really get we get a thing called the Gulf Stream. I don't know if you know what that is. So we get the tropical air comes up from the Caribbean, and it keeps us a little bit warmer than the likes of Russia and all these places. But yeah, just wet. Never too cold, never too warm. Just wet all the time.
What part of Scotland are you in, Andrew?
I am from the west coast. I'm from a place near Oban, but I find it very unlikely if you'll know where that is. So it's kind of the middle on the left.
Okay.
We spent in Peebles last year, in January and February in Peebles last year, because we needed to learn how to ride in the mud. It worked.
Peebles is one of our best, like one place. It's the best valley for biking, because there's a lot there.
In the world, I might argue. I don't think
it's really good. Yeah. I'm on the complete opposite side.
Okay.
That takes me about 3.5 hours to get to, but
okay.
Yeah, cool. It's fun. I'm in a place. If you know your whiskey, I can tell you where I am. But
Yeah.
there's plenty of good whiskies.
I just have to laugh when you say I'm on the completely opposite side. It takes 3.5 hours, and we're like,
Yeah.
to get to the opposite side of the state takes 8 hours.
Yeah. Okay. You've got me
All
there.
If that's the case, then you can drive for 2 days straight and still be in the same state here in Queensland.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Queensland
That's
is like
crazy.
4 times the size of Texas.
So,
You win.
Mackie, you guys are in a really arid climate, right? Like, or your home, you're in the Southwest. So, what do you guys do during the summer?
We go where it's nice. Basically, we're in Tucson right now at Mackie's younger brother's house. So we don't live anywhere really.
We don't have a house.
Come April, we'll basically start racing. So we'll be in California, like Bay Area for a bit, and then Utah and Colorado. So we'll have some. Yeah, no, it should be pretty good. We don't stay in Tucson all year for sure.
Basically, when it gets too warm somewhere or too cold somewhere, we leave.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it works pretty well.
Yeah. The mud that you guys, that Andrew has to deal with specifically, is it's something that we just don't deal with very often. And so for us, it's always a struggle when we're doing a race or something and it's in the mud and you have to like remember to clean your camera off, or
and remember how to ride a bike.
Yeah, how to ride a bike.
That's why we went to Scotland, because like you don't get good practice riding in the mud in the Southwest because people just don't ride. Like you're not allowed to ride.
Mm-hmm.
So like we need to go somewhere where we can ride for like 6 weeks straight in the mud every single day. It worked.
I hate to burst your bubble, but the Tweed Valley is known for its grip, even in the wet, because it's got that kind of shale, the kind of rocky base. On my side, as much as 3.5 hours away, it's really, really muddy. it's the real mud.
Well,
nothing solid underneath it.
Next time.
We would just go ride all the new cut trails in like Innerleithen that were just like axle deep mud, and they're like, yeah, people just ride them in for like 3 years, and then you'd go ride one that was like 3 years old and be like, oh, all rocks, like this is fine. But yeah, the new stuff.
Oh yeah, the new stuff's pretty bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to watch your pedals in most of those older trails.
It's crazy.
They're just like trenches. Yeah.
So I'm curious, are you guys always connected to your channel? Like, do you have any blackout zones, or do you have like an off switch? Whenever I get a comment, I'm always like checking my phone or trying to respond, which probably isn't the best thing for my marriage, but I'm always checking, keeping my subscribers updated, basically. And I did a race the other week where like 45 minutes around where the race was, I was in a dead zone. So it was crazy to me that like once a day I would go to the office where there was Wi-Fi and try to get everything done in a short amount of time. Do you guys have any like, are you ever like, this is a time where I'm not going to be checking my phone or looking at YouTube or responding to comments or anything like that?
For us, we try not to when we're riding. And a lot of the time we are places where there's no cell phone reception, so that's really easy. And then I've just gotten better about putting my phone on Do Not Disturb while I'm riding, because there's nothing that's so pressing that it needs to get in the way. But
I don't have any push notifications on my phone right now. So I think that can be helpful. Like if you just set aside time to like go answer comments then, as opposed to them like popping up and being like, oh, I have to deal with this, or like pops up and like someone says something mean and then you're like all distracted by it, you know?
And obviously we have nighttime Do Not Disturb ones from, I think it's from like 9 to 8 the next morning, where it just, everything is silenced. So we'll get them, but we won't hear them. And that I've found is really helpful, just because you you know, you sort of stop using your phone as much at that point and makes you sleep better. And
that's a good idea. Like if I'm laying in bed about to fall asleep, my phone buzzes, I'll look at it. But I feel like if I had a do not disturb, that might help a lot.
It's the way to go. Sure.
I've got do not disturb set up on my phone as well. It's the best thing ever. Like no notification noises, no buzzing, anything. You just set your phone down. Right, time to pass out now. Wake up in the morning, it turns off at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, or I can't remember what I've got it set to, and you pick up your phone. Oh, there's thousands of messages and emails. Breakfast first. Go and have something to eat. Just don't look at it until you're awake. But yeah, no, while I'm out riding, group ride, or if I'm actually in the middle of the trail, I'm not going to stop. I'm not pulling over. You call me, I'm ignoring it. I'm keep going. If I'm by myself at the end of the trail, yeah, I might stop, pull the phone out and go, oh, who's trying to contact me? Oh, I should call that. But no, there's, aside from the little rules that you set yourself, like don't check your phone between these hours, or if it's a family function, or if I'm visiting my kids or anything, it's all no-go unless I'm actually taking pictures of my kids.
Cool. For me, it's pretty much the same as you guys. The most important time is when I'm riding my bike, so I'm not going to have any distractions when I'm out on the bike. And then I don't have Do Not Disturb. I've got the app on my phone, so if somebody gets in touch and I've got some time, I'll respond to the comment straight away. And especially when I put a video out, as soon as a video goes out, I'm there by the phone, ready to answer, comments, because, well, I'm still quite small as a channel, and it means quite a lot to me to try and build. So I know that if a video goes out and people learn that I'm there to answer their comments straight away, then so be it. That's what I want to do. And I suppose that's what is unique about YouTube is, it's interactive. It's like TV, but much, much better.
Yeah.
So I try and be there for when my videos go out. But if it's at the weekend or if I'm out on the bike, I'm not so fussed. Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are dead right with the comments, though. You have to answer them pretty much straight away. Even if you could be the biggest name in YouTube, you could be the smallest name. People are taking the time out of their day to leave a comment on your video, or Instagram, or Facebook, or whatever.
Yeah.
Do the thing that means the most to them and actually respond.
That's it. It's very important, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people send me messages on Instagram, things like that, and then they're absolutely shocked that I reply to them within a couple of minutes. And like, wow, I didn't think you'd reply. I'm like, well, why not? You guys got me here. Why would I then shirk the people who got me here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in the end, we're all building our own little communities, right? So so it makes sense. Like, I don't know how, like, I remember when I first found Brian, and I think he had like 40, 50,000, and I would comment on a video and he responded, and I was like, whoa, that's insane. And he still does it to this day. He'll respond to everybody's comments. Yeah. And so, like, even at my size, I'm the same as you, Andrew, where I'll like respond to as many comments as I can. But I don't know how people that have a lot of subscribers find the time to do it, to be honest.
I think that, I mean, we're by no means have a lot of subscribers in the big picture, but what I found is instead of responding to each one immediately, I'll be like, okay, I'll see them come in and swipe them away, and then I'll sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to go through, I'm going to read them, I'm going to respond to them. And it would be, I don't know, I think in some ways that might be good, because when you respond, then they get a notification probably, which may bring them back to your channel, at which point they may end up watching more stuff that they hadn't watched initially. So I don't have any science to back that, but that's sort of my thinking, is like, instead of responding to each one instantly, it's like I will respond to them, but it's not necessarily going to be like an instantaneous response.
I also think there's an element of like you have to do what's best for your mental health too. Like for me, I couldn't deal with like constantly being pulled off to like tell someone what kind of pedals I have while I'm like trying to eat lunch, you know, like I'd rather just like take the time to answer YouTube comments and like do that properly. But I think different things work for different people. So
Well, following up on what Sid said there, responding, like for example, they left a comment but they hadn't subscribed. If you answer their comment, then they're more likely to actually come back and go, oh, they took the time to answer my comment. I might actually subscribe to them. Next thing you know, you've got another subscriber and they're spending more time watching your videos. So it's win-win in the end.
Yeah.
Sorry, I stepped away to get a beer. So we're running low on time, so I want to make sure that we get to at least a few questions. But the one thing I wanted to talk about is I'm reading this book called The Motivation Myth, where it talks about how motivation doesn't come naturally, and when you have this big hairy goal, like and the big goal isn't the thing that you're shooting for, but if you take little steps towards that goal, that's where you get kind of like a feedback loop of successes. So I was wondering if are there any like rewards that you found along your way of when it comes to running a YouTube channel? Like for me, I had a guy, his name is Harley, who reached out to me, who needed a prosthetic but had no idea like how to even contact somebody to find someone that can help build a prosthetic for riding a mountain bike. And so I just spent a little time talking to that guy, and he responded back eventually that he got something for himself, and that was like one of the biggest rewards that I found. And it wasn't like I hit this subscriber level or I've monetized, hit a certain monetization point. For me, it was like, oh, there's one person that is actually able to ride a bike because of my conversation with him. So have you guys had any like big rewards like that was from maybe not your end goal of being able to go from, like an opening YouTube channel to a career? Do you have any good stories like that?
I received quite a few Instagram comments, funnily enough, mostly relating to Instagram for me, from fellow type 1 diabetics who were intrigued about getting into some kind of physical activity or something like that, but they just had very little idea of how to do it. Get on the injection or on an insulin pump, or they just need some advice on how to get their eating right and how to test. And I just answer these questions as best as I can. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks down the track, sometimes even like 6 months down the track, they'll get back to me and they'll say, what you told me made the world of difference, and I can ride so much further now, or I can go for so much longer without requiring to stop and test. And it makes a massive difference to me because it means that I've made a positive impact on someone else's life. And I'm just trying to do what I do. I'm just out to have fun, but if I can educate people on how to do their life better as well, that just makes me super stoked.
Same.
Yeah, we haven't had, one of the things I think that we really like about YouTube is the community aspect that we've found more on YouTube than on some of the other social media platforms. Where people are, there's a little bit more commenting and interaction and asking questions. And we've had some people say like, hey, watching your dynamic got me stoked to go out and ride or to train or to, recover more. We did a video on that. And like, I think that's what's cool about YouTube is that interaction. And to your point of celebrating the like stepping stones, was it the Chimp Paradox that he talks about goals versus dreams? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a book called The Chimp Paradox. And one of the big points is like differentiate between goals and dreams. And goals are things that you can control. So for us, it might
measure.
and measure.
Yeah.
So for us, it might be, you know, I'm going to train 5 days a week for the next 3 months, or I'm going to follow my training schedule, you know.
Or respond to YouTube comments, or like put up a video twice a week or something. And then like the dream would be to like be able to do YouTube full time, or like win a race, or like all these sort of things that are like to a certain degree out of your control, but you can control like what you do. And that can be rewarding in its own right.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it was a great book, and I liked that method of thinking about it instead of just like, you know, oh, this is the dream, but to set yourself up to get there by these specific measurable and achievable tasks.
What was that book called? Chimp Paradox?
The Chimp Paradox. Yeah, it's written by the cycling coach for some of the British Olympians, I believe. I'm blanking on his name, but it's a great book. And since there aren't a whole lot of books called The Chimp Paradox, I think it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I'm on an audiobook kick lately, so I'm going to have to add that one on my list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, well, my experiences are not quite as inspirational as Eric or John's, and not quite as cool as Sid and Mackie's, but mine's are probably more selfish, because when I put out videos, I know that one day I'm going to be older and I'm not going to be as physically able as I am, and I quite like making videos because one day I'll be able to look back at them all and say, you know, when I was young, I went to these places and I knew these people, and I could do this on a bike and kind of stuff like that. But also, I've had a lot of people getting in touch with me with on YouTube and Instagram and various different ways, but basically just thanking me for making the videos, because it's kind of got them to venture away from the trail centres. I try and make my videos more about getting out into the... Scotland's really good because we've got the right to roam, so we can, within reason, go anywhere we want in the country. I know America's got a lot of trespassing laws and stuff like that, so we can go anywhere. So I like to just go up in the mountains and go to the walkers' paths, or even sheep trails. Obviously, I haven't managed to do that quite so much because of the winter just now, but a lot of people get in touch just saying that I've inspired them to get out and have an adventure rather than just go and ride a bike in a trail centre, because there is a big difference. And if you've just been brought up on trail centres, you might not know, about the beauty of the country that you're in, wherever that is, or the kind of rugged trails. So that's what it is for me just now. But I'm sure more people will get in touch in the future, and I'll have different stories to tell.
I mean, to your point, that we are all part of the same community, and that's how, you know, I wouldn't have met Sid and Mackie probably maybe at an enduro race or something, or I wouldn't have met a guy in Scotland, or, you know, John, you're in Austin every now and then, but I wouldn't have met a guy in Australia unless it was for YouTube. So those are some pretty good small successes, to meet all these other content creators from all over the place.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. It's brought us together.
Yeah.
That's very true.
I'm gonna see if Joseph has any questions from chat. How to find time to edit. Do you set... Oh, this is a good one. Do you set aside rides for yourself, no filming? For me, that's a yes. I don't know. Anyone else?
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Sometimes you really just need that ride where you do nothing but focus on yourself and the trail and the bike, just to reset your mind. It's very freeing just to get out with no other worries. Even if it's by yourself or with friends, you just... No external pressure is essentially what it boils down to. Just go have fun.
Sid and Mackie, you guys do a lot of rides where, especially in training, where you're not filming.
Yeah, we don't film most of our rides.
Yeah, our majority are non-filming, and then we go out to film a ride with rides that we film. We go into it planning to film.
Mm-hmm. I just did a ride yesterday with Chris that runs Huck Buddies, and one of the guys, I saw him in this video earlier, Cobra Kyle, and I didn't film the ride, and it is so liberating to just get out and ride and not focus on like talking points or like something that you want to highlight, to just literally be like, I'm going to go out with these people or go out by myself and just ride. And when I'm done with the ride, then that's it. And so it is strangely liberating to do that.
Yes. Follow-up question to Sid and Mackie though. I know you said you don't film most of your rides, but do you go out and have rides just to have fun without filming and not training?
Rarely.
Not this time of the year, really.
Yeah.
Part of it, and I think this is something that we actually, like, I at least got into some serious overtraining when I was doing that, because like what I did for fun and relaxation was like a 6-hour ride, and what I did for training was like intervals on a bike, and what I did for work was like a ride that we filmed, and something has to give there at a certain point. You can't like ride that much and have it be healthy. So I think we do other things that are, you know, for fun and not for filming.
But it's not usually
at this
riding
point
bikes.
It's not riding, and that's by choice though. It's not because we're total workaholics.
Yeah. I get that.
Oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, I get that. The last thing you want to do is do it so much that you get burnout, and the last thing you want to go do is ride, be it filming, training, or just have fun.
Yeah.
So for me, as I said before, I run my videos so neat, and I try and make 2 a week. And basically it's that Saturday and that Sunday goes out on Tuesday and Thursday. So I haven't had the luxury to go out and have a ride for myself for quite some time. And that's one of the things that I'm planning to change. And that's why I want to change to 1 video a week for a wee while, just to try and focus and actually have fun again. I've had about 2 rides for myself that I haven't filmed in the last year. So it's a pretty sad affair, and it needs changing. So for all the reasons that you guys just mentioned, so
I have a feeling
I need to change it.
Oh.
Sorry,
I have a feeling that'll change with having more opportunities to ride and being able to travel a bunch. I'm hoping, you know, I bet you'll be able to get out there without having to film every single ride and edit it and everything.
yeah, I hope so. And maybe I can do like a ride to scout, find a new location and ride it for myself, and then come back and think, could I make a video of that? And then if not, I just move on to another place. So I'll go back with the camera. So roughly, we'll see how it goes.
So we touched on this earlier, and I kind of mentioned it as well. But I'm curious to see how many hours everybody spends on like a single video. And like I mentioned, I usually spend probably about it's shortening, so like 6 to 8 hours to edit, like maybe like a 10-minute video. So what is your guys' pacing for that?
Mine's about the same for you, mainly just because I run several cameras at a time. I'm chopping and changing and deciding which angle is best, and usually end up going with the main chest camera, but yeah, slowly whittling it down. And then there's watching videos on how to do things in Adobe Premiere Pro, so you can learn how to do things better or do something different. Yeah, it all works out in the end, but it takes a lot.
I would say after filming, I think I probably just spent 4 hours, maybe 5 editing. And That was for our like extended Patreon cut, which was 45 minutes long or something.
Long.
And then it'll probably be another hour of cutting that down to 20-ish minutes, which will be the YouTube version. And that's partially
Then
because
it'll take 14 hours to upload.
yeah, and then it'll take a long time to export and upload because I have a slow computer. But part of that is we've been able to get that more efficient by having an idea of what the story's going to be and by just filming pieces. So I can kind of just go through clip by clip, grab it, throw it into the timeline. You know, I usually won't put the whole thing, but I'll put a piece of it. And I can just do that through the whole thing and then go back and try to make sure the sound is decent and clips sort of match up. And sometimes if somebody else is talking, you have to put some words in because you can't really hear what they're saying through the audio. But for us, it's you know, as we said, for us, it's more about the story than the editing or the production quality. So that's where our focus is more on the preparation and then the filming of it. And then the editing, we put it together, but it's nothing super fancy.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering if yours would be a little bit shorter because it sounds like you're very intentional with the pieces that you want to film.
We try to be.
Yeah. I find myself going over multiple passes. So like I'll whittle it down to like 20 minutes and then I'll be like, nope, that's still way too long. No one's going to sit through that. And then I'll do like 2 more passes until it's under 10 minutes. And that's what takes all the time.
I've just gotten totally cutthroat and I'm like,
yeah,
if it needs to be shorter, it's like, if there's any question, I cut it out. Just boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And that.
Our long videos do really well though, usually.
Yeah.
Like
people seem to like
16 to 20 minute.
Yeah.
Well, I for one know that I thoroughly enjoy your extended edits on Patreon.
Thank you.
The huge long edits. I love to just put them on, listen, kind of half watching while I'm working, and yeah, no, they're really good.
That's sort of what we figured. People like with the really long ones, people sort of have it on in the background, and so we're like, you know, it doesn't have to be super polished, but hopefully it's entertaining enough that will make people laugh once or twice while during the video.
I think YouTube in general is kind of it's not like a genre that you like go into a movie theater and like watch it on a big screen. You know, it's like what you watch while you're like folding laundry or like cooking or like working on your bike. So, I mean, obviously our cinematics could improve a little bit, but it's
not just that. I mean, I am actually watching it while I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly listening to the two of you interact. Like, for example, the ones you did with Brian, like those were fantastic. Brian's little comments thrown in with you guys interacting, and it was just fantastic. I love watching those. And as you said, it's not cinematic experience. No, I am paying less for more hours of entertainment. That's why it's not cinematic.
True.
Yeah. I think that's well said.
What about you, Andrew? What's your how much editing time do you spend on a video?
Not much at all. Again, as I said, I just take my footage and put it in the computer and sync the 2 cameras up so I've got usable audio. And yeah, I would just do a rough cut and see how it feels. If I've got lots of footage, then I know I can cut a lot and I can be quite ruthless with throwing away the scraps, you know, the footage that isn't quite as good. That's nice when you've got plenty to choose from. So normally it takes me, honestly, about an hour to 2 hours. Again, this is something I do need to work on to put more production quality into my videos.
Don't do it. Keep it short. Keep it short. It's
Keep
awesome.
it short.
You'll be so happy.
But I suppose that's part of the charm, you know, because if it doesn't have that amazing production value, then you know it's just another human, you know, another person, just maybe like yourself, you know, depending who's watching it, of course. They'll be like, well, actually, this is like a home movie, you know, and I think. You know, I think too much production maybe doesn't belong on YouTube. It maybe sounds a bit stupid, but you know that you've got your TV, yeah, yeah. But I mean, with YouTube, it's I think the kind of the charm almost with my channel is it very much feels like it's just you're watching something that I've done at the weekend, and that's about as far as it goes.
Well,
there's always a risk of going too far.
Yeah, I get that comment all the time on my Instagram. I ask people, look, what attracted you to my Instagram so much? And I get the comment back saying, you seem like a really approachable guy. You seem like the kind of guy that we would know and go riding with on the weekend. You do very much similar things to what we do, all these kind of answers. So I'm trying to take that format and put that on YouTube. I don't want too much production value. I don't want to make it seem like I'm some massive Hollywood film producer who has wads of cash to throw at cameramen. No, I'm doing this by myself, and I want to make it seem like these guys can go, you know what, I'll go riding with that guy. He doesn't do like 50-foot gaps and things like that. No, I do like a tiny little drop off and end up on my face. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to see progression as well. People learning, possibly at the same time as the viewers learning as well. What I found in Britain is, there's quite a lot of mountain bike YouTubers in America, and that's fine. There's space for everyone, but actually for what I do or for what we all do, there's not many people in Britain. As you said, you got Ben Cathro, and there's also Scotty Loughlin. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but for me, it's harder to relate with those guys because they are pro level guys. That they are properly fast, and I watch their videos and I think I could never go that fast. And so I feel that's what separates me from those guys is I'm just a normal guy riding a bike, and so people can ask me questions because I'm maybe not as good as they are, or they're a little bit better than me. So I think that's part of the charm.
Yeah, well,
being relatable.
As you were saying, like Ben Cathro is super fast, and you said you seem more approachable because of that. Funnily enough, he is actually a super approachable guy, and
that's not what I was saying.
I'm just
relatable. Sorry, relatable.
Yeah,
as in his speed, I can't comprehend his speed. The guy's a really, really nice guy. I'm not saying anything bad about him.
He's a wicked, super fast guy, and he is super approachable. He is willing to give any tips on how to get faster. All you have to do is just ask. Like, a lot of people have to realize that the big, really up there guys, they got there through a lot of hard work usually, and they're willing to help other people try and get there as well. You just have to ask. That is the first thing. Yeah.
He's actually got a skills coaching school as well, so he literally does.
Yeah. I think we're coming up on an hour, unless anyone has any last comments that they want to make.
I don't know how it works.
So I want to thank all you guys for joining in tonight. We have a pretty awesome community, and I watch this every week, whether I'm on it or not.
Me too.
And thanks to everyone watching out there in YouTube land as well, and everyone that's listening on iTunes. Remember to visit and support all the people involved. This week, obviously, it's Mountain Bike Geek and McTrail Rider and Sid and Mackie. I will put, I think I already have links to all their channels in the show notes, the description below.
You do, yeah.
But also follow Off Camber Live on YouTube, or on Facebook. You can also go to offcamber.bike, and that will bring it up as well. Next week's show is going to be fun. You're going to be able to nerd out on it a little bit. It's hosted by Jordan Boostmaster. Joseph's on it as well, and they're just going to be geeking out about camera gear. It's going to be awesome. But on offcamber.bike, you can find it, or just searching Off Camber Live on Facebook. You'll be able to find it. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to write a review, that'll be awesome too. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to everybody that's been on it tonight. Anyone have any last comments?
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Last comment is thanks for hosting this. Thanks for everyone joining. I had a lot of fun with this. I'll be on next week's show with Jordan Boostmaster, Gene, regular glide mountain biking, and trail features. So I'm going to have another lot of fun next week as well.
I should have assumed that you would have been on that one with your.
Oh yeah, just the name says it all. No, I've played with I don't know how many different types of cameras. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to being a part of that one.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Until next week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.